Welcome to this episode of the story. Have you subscribed yet? Chapter 105, Breakthrough in Strength. Sumu was immersed in the spiritual power world constructed by the ancient secret manual, utterly fascinated. Every word in the manual was like a key, opening new doors to his understanding of reverse time spiritual power. As he delved deeper into the study, the once chaotic and vague spiritual power concepts in his mind gradually became clear and orderly. One by one, the cultivation puzzles that had troubled him for a long time were solved, and the bottleneck that had restricted him began to show signs of loosening without his awareness. He decided to try to circulate the reverse, time spiritual power in his body according to the method recorded in the manual. Taking a deep breath, he slowly closed his eyes and sank his mind into his body. The reverse, time spiritual power, like a sleeping dragon, began to wake up slowly under his guidance and flowed gently along the meridians. However, at the beginning, the circulation of spiritual power was not smooth. It was as if an invisible force was resisting, trying to pull the spiritual power back to its original trajectory. Sumu was not discouraged at all. He was well aware that the path of cultivation was full of hardships. He calmed himself down and carefully studied the description of spiritual power circulation in the manual again, trying hard to find out the problem. After some thought, he adjusted the way he guided the spiritual power, using a more gentle yet firm will to lead the reverse, time spiritual power. Gradually, the spiritual power started to flow along the new trajectory. Although it was still a bit jerky, there was a significant improvement. As the spiritual power circulated smoothly, Sumu could feel his control over the reverse, time spiritual power constantly increasing. He decided to try to Shijan the first technique recorded in the manual, the reverse time backlash shield. He concentrated his mind, gathered the reverse time spiritual power in front of him, and guided the spiritual power to condense into shape according to the method taught in the manual. Then, a light blue shield slowly emerged in front of him. The shield seemed thin, transparent, like an illusory dream, but in fact, it contained powerful reverse, time spiritual power. Strange runes flowed on the surface of the shield, echoing the patterns in the manual. Sumu gently touched the shield with his hand, and a force of counter shock came. But he could clearly feel that this force contained the characteristic of reverse, time. Once attacked by an external force, the shield could subtly reverse part of the attack force in time and cause unexpected counter-injury to the attacker. Sumu continued to cultivate in depth. Trying other techniques recorded in the manual, he was fully focused and constantly adjusted the way of using spiritual power. With each attempt, he became more proficient in using reverse, time spiritual power, and his strength steadily increased without him noticing. The surrounding space also seemed to sense the huge change in his spiritual power. The originally calm air rippled slightly, as if saluting this gradually powerful cultivator. During the cultivation process, Sumu also discovered a wonderful thing. With the mastery of the high-level techniques of reverse time spiritual power, he could perceive the flow of spiritual power in the surrounding environment more deeply. It was as if he had established a closer connection with the spiritual power between heaven and earth, and could keenly capture the subtle fluctuations and changes of spiritual power. This not only helped him better anticipate the actions of his enemies in battle, but also provided more convenience for his cultivation. Time passed quietly while Sumu was engrossed in cultivation. When he finally slowly woke up from the cultivation state, he found that the sky outside the temple had darkened. Moonlight shone on him through the gaps of the temple, forming patches of mottled light and shadow. He knew it was time to leave here and return to Lingxi Town. He carefully put away the secret manual, put it in his inner pocket, and gently patted it, as if soothing a precious treasure. Then he got up and walked towards the exit of the temple. At this time, his steps were firm and powerful, and he exuded a confident and steady aura. Compared with the slightly green young man before entering the temple, he was now a completely different person. At the moment of walking out of the temple, Sumu looked back at this mysterious and ancient building. In the moonlight, the outline of the temple looked particularly solemn and majestic, as if telling countless secrets. Sumu thought silently in his heart that perhaps there were still more secrets in this temple waiting for him to explore. But at this moment, he was more concerned about his relatives and friends in Lingxi Town.
He took a deep breath of the fresh night air, then resolutely turned around and strode towards the direction of Lingxi Town. The story continues. More exciting content is coming up. Subscribe as soon as possible.